Warning. Critique Revolve contains adult language and discussions. If you're easily offended, do not continue to listen.
The pattern is disturbing.
I transferred from missing persons.
Harry Hole.
We studied your cases at the academy.
Will they date back that far?
Yeah, you're up there with the legends.
I can't keep covering for you. Doesn't matter who you are.
Tell me.
I think it's the falling snow that sets the killer off.
Then who does he leave the snowman for? Building snowmen, cutting things up into little pieces. That's what a child does to establish order.
Hello and welcome to another episode of Critique Revolve here on Rain Man Digital Media. I'm your host, Brian Smith, and joining me today after a very, very, very long hiatus is none other than Thomas Cowley. Thomas, say hello.
Hello, hello, hello.
So, Thomas, we were talking before the show about how long it's been since we've been on this show together.
The two of us together, yeah. It's been a while, dude. We looked back at the list of movies that we've done.
Right.
All the way back to April.
Yep.
You remember which one?
No, it was not Guardians. Thor, no.
No, it was The Fate of the
Furious. Oh, that's right, The Fate of the Furious. God, that movie was awful.
The train wreck of the summer.
Right, what was that? Is that Fast and Furious 9?
No, 8.
Is that 8?
Fate 8.
So he died at 7?
Yes.
Oh, man.
Spoilers.
Oh no, there's a spoiler. No, it's been since April since we were together. I know I've done a couple reviews, you've done a couple reviews.
Yep. Completely different people have done a few reviews.
Sure, yeah, we've had an actual revolving door of hosts.
I know.
For this whole summer. You were super busy with your move and everything.
Yep.
Right? And for those of you that don't know, Thomas moved.
I did. Up to the east side.
It was a very, very traumatic experience for him.
It was, dude.
Yeah, I know. That's why I said it. And of course, I moved as well.
Yeah.
In the same month. Or no, I moved right before you.
Yep.
Yeah, I moved, like a week and a half before you started
Something
moving?
Like that.
Yeah, either way.
Important people moving up.
Well, no, I actually, I moved in with someone.
Yes, you did.
So there's that, because this is becoming the Rain Man Digital Show instead of
Critique
Revolve.
We're
going to go into
Brian
our personal
Smith
lives.
Lifetime Hour.
It's the Brian Smith Show. Well, I don't ever get to do any shows anymore except for Comic Book Chaos.
You're doing this now, so stop complaining.
It's true, I am. So,
and tell me what we hated or loved.
Well, so what we saw is The Snowman. It's a crime drama horror being released on October 20th, 2017. That's going to be this coming Friday. And it stars Michael Fassbender as Detective Harry Knoll, who investigates the disappearance of a woman whose pink scarf is found wrapped around an ominous-looking snowman. So this is like the worst synopsis in the history of synopses. It tells us absolutely nothing. What it tells us is wrong.
Well, for a trailer, because that's how I first found out about this movie, was through a trailer.
Okay.
For a trailer, it worked pretty well, because I'm like, okay, there's some kind of themed murderer. The aesthetic look of it gave me a Zodiac vibe, a girl with a dragon tattoo vibe. So I was like, all right, interesting. It's got a little creepy factor to it. And that was all I needed.
For what? Did that get you off at the end of the night?
To be interested from a trailer.
Okay, so the trailer got you interested. So
right.
Did you watch the trailer that had like the weird snowman's face, right?
I did, and I didn't watch the full thing. I watched like 20, 30 seconds of like a 3-minute trailer.
Right, because the trailer's like 2.5 minutes long.
It's stupid long.
Right.
But yeah, that was enough to get me excited. And then I did some research.
Sure. And so apparently this is based off of a book.
Get this, dude.
Yeah.
It is the 7th book in a series about a detective, Harry Hole.
Well, no.
Which also workshop that name, dude.
Harry Hole?
Harry Hole.
Harry Hole.
That sounds like your backdoor porn name.
Now, is this also one of those, this is a Swedish writer, right?
Yes.
So was it originally written with a different name?
Let's see here. They're in Swedish, so I can't say it in any way.
But the name's not actually Harry Hole.
Oh, his name? I think it actually is.
Really?
Yeah.
Jesus criminy. So wait, The Snowman is the 7th book in the series?
Yes. It started with The Bat in 1997, translated into The Bat, an English version, in 2012. The Snowman is the 7th book, originally printed in 2007, translated in 2010.
So wait, when was the first book?
The translated one or the original print?
The original print of the first book.
1997.
So 10 years, 7 books?
10 years, 7 books, and
Okay.
there's been new books since then.
Okay, sure. No, but 10 years, 7 books, that's not bad.
No, it's not.
That's Dean Koontz territory.
He just had one this year. But what I'm saying is, this is the first movie adaptation of this character.
Sure.
And we're going with the 7th installment. Smack in the fucking middle.
That just seems poorly timed.
It seems like a bad idea.
Well, I mean, it doesn't, and it doesn't, because didn't they do the same thing with Bosch?
I couldn't
the
tell
TV
you.
show Bosch, which is about a detective
Possibly.
who solves crime. But okay, so
But that would explain.
well, we'll get into it.
Yeah.
We'll get into it. So going into this, what I knew about the movie was that it's directed by Tomas Alfredson, who directed probably one of my favorite, if not my absolute favorite, like new age horror movies.
Okay.
Like, it's not like the scary jump scare horror. It's more like the
Dread.
not necessarily even dread, but like fear of the unknown kind of horror,
Okay.
right? Called Let the Right One In.
Yes.
And he did the Swedish version, which is far superior to the English remake, which is Let Me In.
Okay.
Right. And Let the Right One In is one of the creepiest kind of just out there kind of movies that you could see.
Right.
Like, and it was one of those where it's like, it doesn't really scare you. It just leaves you kind of feeling
Uneasy, uncomfortable.
unsettled.
Yeah.
Like, like you'd think twice about walking into a room.
Right.
That kind of feeling, not like the, oh my God, I can't sleep tonight, I'm so scared, but more like the, did something just move?
The fuck was that?
Yeah, exactly. And Let the Right One In
Then
had
shotgun blast the door.
Sure. It's and it had all the right, it hit all the right notes, I think, for that type of movie. And then he also followed that up with Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy, which was nominated for Oscars. Like,
right.
Numerous people in the movie were nominated. I believe the score was nominated. I think he was nominated for an Oscar. And so it's kind of crazy. But, I mean, it's also been, 6 years since Tinker Tailor
He hasn't had
came
anything
out.
since then. Yeah.
No, he's taken this huge hiatus where he did Tinker Tailor and then this.
Yeah.
And that's all we've seen. And now it was written by, or it was, I should say, not written by, but adapted by Peter Straughan and Hossein Amini. Hossein Amini should sound familiar to you, actually, dude. We've done some of his movies. 47 Ronin.
Okay. Yeah.
Drive. I don't know if you actually watched that one with me.
I haven't seen that one.
Snow White and the Huntsman.
We didn't see that together.
Who did I see that with?
I don't know.
It wasn't you?
You make bad decisions on your own.
That you're not wrong. You're not wrong. But we saw 47 Ronin together, right?
Yes, that was when we did that binge 4 hour.
Oh my God, that's right. We had 4 movies in a weekend. It was 4.
Day.
It was 4 movies in a day. That's right. That was at the very end of 2013.
Yep.
Yeah. So we did 47 Ronin. But anyway, that's Hossein Amini, and then Peter Straughan He wrote Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy and also adapted The Men Who Stare at Goats.
Right.
Both of which are not bad movies.
Right.
They're actually pretty good movies. And of course, then you also have Michael Fassbender in the lead role, and he has proven himself time and time again to be a very capable actor.
Yeah, he
I would
has.
say
He's a very popular face. He's a very capable actor. He's done a lot of stuff, whether it's been comic book movies or Shakespearean drama or action thrillers. He's got a wide breadth of a career.
Sure, he's done, he played Steve Jobs, he was Macbeth, he's been Magneto.
He's the only good thing about the Assassin's Creed movie.
Actually it's funny, I just watched that because it finally popped up on either Hulu or HBO Go or something like that. Wow.
We don't talk about it.
It was bad. Anyway, so I mean, and he's doing the new Alien movie Covenant?
Yeah, he's been in Prometheus and Covenant.
Right. And then he also did 12 Years a Slave. Like, I mean, the guy's got a hell of a resume.
Right.
Right. So, I mean, he's earned his place as a leading man. Right. And then you have backing him up is Rebecca Ferguson, who was in Mission Impossible Rogue Agent.
Rogue Nation.
Rogue Nation. Thank you. And then she was in Girl on a Train and Florence Foster Jenkins.
So not a whole lot by comparison.
Not a whole lot by comparison, but she is Swedish.
Okay.
Which is important because Tomas, the director, Tomas Alfredson, is also Swedish. and has worked almost exclusively with Swedish casts.
And on projects.
And almost always
Yeah.
on. Yeah, because even I believe Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy was shot in Sweden.
He's from there. He's got a comfortable team he works with there. It's his hometown, essentially.
It's like the guy that did Day Watch and Night Watch and then directed Wanted. Like they brought in, certain pieces because he's Russian and that's who he likes to work with. So it's kind of the same thought there. Now, going into the movie, knowing that you have an Oscar-nominated writer, director, your
actors.
your actors, your main actor is incredibly famous right now, super hot, has been doing really good work, right? And then you have, a supporting cast that actually is pretty good too. I mean, you had J.K. Simmons, who's been in the Spider-Man movies,
and what is it? It's not Whiplash. The drum one. I can never remember the name of it.
The drum one?
J.K. Simmons was the teacher, mentor.
Oh, I didn't see it. I know what you're talking about.
Know what I'm talking
I know what
about.
you're talking about. Sorry, I didn't see it.
He's phenomenal and scary in that.
Sure. And then you also have Val Kilmer making an appearance.
Sure.
Literally.
Physically, he makes an appearance.
Physically, Val Kilmer is in the movie. Anyway, so when you go into it seeing that and you see, that you have a decent composer and all of those parts, this movie looks like it's going to be a fairly interesting and well-rounded crime drama horror.
It does.
Right?
Yeah. And that's what sold me originally because, again, I saw the trailer.
Right.
I saw the cast behind it. And actually, Martin Scorsese was originally...
an executive producer, actually.
He was originally going to be the director.
Right, and he's also an executive producer on it. Yeah.
So it had a lot of... It has
It's
a
got
lot of clout behind it. A lot of credibility to it.
Sure.
And from what I saw of the trailer, it perfectly hit what I find interesting in these crime thrillers. Zodiac's one of my favorite movies.
Sure.
I love that. I felt like that was what I was going to get going into it. So this is what I've painted in my head.
Right.
Going into it. So I was excited.
Sure, absolutely. And, it's Universal Pictures, it's Perfect World Pictures, and all of that stuff. So it's so frustrating to have seen what we saw. I think that's really the only way to put this is that, we went into this and, you watch the opening sequence and you don't totally understand what's going on. But it's setting something
But you didn't
up.
need to because it's the setup.
Sure, it's the setup. And so you're like, all right, sure. And then they jump into this other storyline. And you're like, okay, sure. We'll follow this. They'll come back together at some point. Well, regardless, what you have is a drunk Fassbender throughout the entire movie.
Who, despite health hazards and being told not to, continues to live in his apartment riddled with mold and asbestos.
Right, which didn't really make sense to me. And then
it's not explained why he would do that.
Sure, at all. There were so many things in the movie where it felt like they needed.
Well, let's give a quick rundown of the plot.
Because
otherwise us watching it, we're going to get way too fucking confused.
That's fair. Okay, so essentially the plot goes like this. So Harry, and I guess apparently it's Holy is how it should be pronounced. They pronounce it wrong
that up.
throughout the whole movie. They pronounce it as
what is it?
Is
Harry Hole.
Harry Hole.
You sure that's right, dude?
No, it's not.
I think so.
It's not. It's supposed to be.
Listen, we already wrote it. They've already filmed it. This is what it's going to be.
Sure, but according to the books, the correct pronunciation resembles the English word holy.
Good.
So,
good start.
I mean, it makes it a lot better that his name's not Harry Hole.
Yeah.
I guess.
Not for the movie, though.
Sure, not for the movie.
Doesn't work there.
Anyway, so Harry is I would say a disgraced detective at this point, but still kind of clinging to, I guess, all of
previous fame.
Right, these all of these medals that he apparently won at some point that we've never seen. Because once again, we're not familiar with this character whatsoever because we've never read any of the previous 6 books.
We're just told, oh yeah, he's a really awesome dude. Don't mind his belligerent drinking and sleeping in the street. That's normal.
Right, or sleeping on the job. Or
being late to work.
Being late to work, not showing up for weeks on end, I guess is okay too.
Where his boss still covers him because he's just such a good guy.
Well, yeah, because he is Harry Holy.
Which would be something that would perhaps be explained had we not come into the 7th book of a series of currently 11.
So that's kind of like if you started with the Bourne Ultimatum.
And you're like, I don't even know who the fuck are these people?
Right. No, like legit, dude. Okay, so I mean, it makes the movie make more sense, to be honest with you. Like,
doesn't help the movie. It makes more sense after the fact.
Sure. So anyway, so this woman goes missing, and he tags along with this rookie cop who apparently is using his office for some reason.
And he had no issue with that?
Transfer cop.
Right.
Transfer cop, but I guess there's not a problem there because she's a female?
Because I know when I got transferred departments, I took over my boss's and the most prestigious member of the company's office.
Well, right, because he hadn't been there for a week.
Right. That's how promotions and transfers work?
Yeah, I don't know, man. Either way, she transfers from one place, comes down there, starts working. Nobody questions it. Nobody asks for paperwork, nothing. She just starts working. And she, like, starts getting cases on her own, starts getting her own caseload. And so, like, Harry doesn't drive for some reason.
Because of the drinking is assumed.
I assume.
It's not told to
My
us.
guess is that was book 4. So anyway, so Harry doesn't drive. So now
he's like forced to work with her because.
But it doesn't even feel like he's forced to work with her. It's almost just like he's like, yo, I need a ride. But he like flags her down to give him the ride. Like he wanted to ride with her because there was a file in her pocket that had nothing to do with him and had no one else's name on it, but he needs to see it.
Because.
I don't know, man.
He's curious.
Reasons, right? MacGuffins. Anyway, so he like gets in the car. They go out to this house. She goes inside. I don't fucking know. He reads a folder, whatever. He goes into the house. Shit's all fucked up. There's a little girl. Shit's missing. Mom's gone. I don't know what's up.
Okay. So hold on. So the whole his part of it starts with this woman going missing.
Sure.
Right. Before that, like a scene before, he gets a card mailed to him. That has a message from
I was
presumably...
trying to... Well, hold on. I wanted that to be a surprise.
Oh, really?
Yeah, no, I don't give a fuck.
Yeah. Presumably the murderer, but we don't know that.
Well, no, it's from what looks like some crazy rando dude who says he's going to build a snowman for a woman he's been watching while Harry was sleeping on a bench.
He's like, you shouldn't sleep like that. You could die in the cold.
Right.
Presumably... meaning he's been watching you. And you're like, well, this is just another card from an adoring fan. I guess I'll tuck that away and not worry about it.
And that's exactly what he does, even though there's like a weird, creepy snowman drawn on the bottom.
Which he then goes to a house in which a weird, creepy snowman was made by somebody that wasn't the little girl who lives there.
Right. And like, what was the power he had over that child to get her to speak to him?
Again,
why did she not...
That's book 2.
Oh, okay. That's book 2. Got it.
Now, see, I'm not an ace detective
yet.
I'm working on it.
Sure. You're on book 6?
After this movie, I could do it too.
Sure.
If you have a little creepy snowman on a creepy unnamed message, and then you go to your very next crime scene in which there's a creepy snowman, I don't know, Watson, but something about the snowman is fucking awesome because I'm an idiot and it just looks cool.
That's preposterous.
That's as far as it goes.
Yeah, no, I mean, and so like there's this snowman thing and like there's like a theme, and then there's like a cigarette that's been put out but they never pick it up for DNA evidence.
Several times over.
Right, like there's a cigarette all the time and they never pick it up for DNA evidence. Also, I don't know, either way. So then we're introduced to like his ex-girlfriend and her son. And there's like a whole thing there where like she left.
Book 3.
Sure. She leaves him, but he's still like helping out with the kid. But the kid doesn't know who his real father is because there's like some reason that she won't say who the real father is. And I was led to believe that it's because J.K. Simmons was the father, but now I'm not so sure because I watched the whole movie.
I thought it was Michael Fassbender. He just didn't want to admit to it for some reason.
No.
So I guess that's book 1.
It must be. Maybe it's book 6.
I don't know. Okay.
I don't know, man. We're jumping all over the place here. Anyway, so like there's like this whole thing with like this kid, and I don't know where he came from and why he's there, and he looks a little downsy. That's fine, whatever. He's a hell of a hockey goalie. I think he was the goalie.
Not certain.
I don't know, but then somebody scored and they all cheered, but I don't really know because reasons. And then we go 9 years earlier, and fat Val Kilmer, who's had a shitload of work done, and no offense to Val Kilmer, I understand that he's dealing with cancer right now, and that fucking sucks. But what the shit did they do, bro? They dubbed over your voice.
It looked like he had dental surgery performed right before shooting.
No, it looked like they had removed his entire lower jaw and given him a new one.
It was that scene from Robin Hood Men in Tights where he's got cotton balls in his mouth. He's like, I just came back from the dentist.
Yeah, no, for real. Only there were no cotton balls. But like, he looked like he had fangs too. Did you notice that?
Yeah.
It was bizarre. Val Kilmer, man, bizarre. All right?
Yeah.
Anyway, so then like we see Val Kilmer and like he's investigating this woman and this who's like sleeping with J.K. Simmons, and her husband wants to know about it. I don't know, man. It was super confusing.
So let's just put a pause for a half a second.
Sure.
Anybody who's been listening to this point and isn't like, these guys are fucking morons, that's exactly how we felt watching this movie. What is happening right now? Who are these other people? What does this have to do with the snowman? Why am I watching like 20 minutes of exposition for some things and yet zero explanation for other things that should be relevant?
No, and that's exactly right. So the movie jumps, like, I know we've been jumping around all over the place, but we're actually following the plot of the movie very closely. So, like, let that sink in for a second. There's all of these moving parts, right? And so you figure that at some point, all of these different storylines have to come together and make sense. Like, that's the thing, the make sense part, and not just conveniently wind up that way. And in watching what we saw on the screen tonight, it was like, there's a story here, there's a story here, a story here, and a story here. And I about guarantee you that if we had read book 7, the book that this is based on, this entire movie makes sense.
And that's honestly the problem.
Sure.
Because it feels like this is a great example of why direct adaptations don't always work. Because this felt like, had I read the book, all these different plots I can compartmentalize in my brain, and there's internal monologues, and I've read the other 6 fucking books, so I know who this character is. That feels like this would have been a great book.
Sure. Well,
however, it's directly like adapted, I feel, and as a result, it doesn't follow screenplay writing 101. There is no inciting incident.
Right. No, that's the other thing. It's like
for like a fucking 40-minute period.
Well, hold on, man. Things just happened. Like,
not because of the character's own choices.
Right. No, that's what I mean. It's like, it was like things just happened. Like, boom, happened. Boom, happened. And it was like out of nowhere. Like, there was like very little foreshadowing. Very little foreshadowing. What they did have for foreshadowing was like, have you ever played softball but used a volleyball instead of a baseball?
No, I'm not that stupid.
Right, but you know how big a volleyball is, right?
Yeah, no, I understand.
And like how you can see it coming a mile away.
Right.
You can smash the shit out of it with your wiffle ball bat, Ryan Denton. Who I guess has been reading these books.
Oh, wow.
I mean,
we'll have to have him give a detailed explanation.
Honestly, I didn't know Denton knew how to read. So, more power to him. But either way, no, but it was just like the foreshadowing that was there was so obvious. Like, don't sleep there at night, you might freeze.
I've been watching you.
Right? Like, I mean, it was just...
There's only so many characters that have a clear, present idea of who you are and what you do with your daily life. Right?
Yeah, like 2. And we know it's not her.
Guess which one I am.
Right? But no, and it was just so ridiculous. And like things would just happen. And then when everything does kind of come together, it all feels so convenient.
And that's really the thing, is that it felt like I was watching a couple different stories come together that are barely related, only by random fucking chance.
Right.
Are 2 of them related?
Right. Like the whole thing with like the whole Val Kilmer story and the Snowman story are literally only related because another girl was in a car. That's it. That is what, according to the movie, that is what ties them together.
It's out of nowhere. And then, like you said, the twist is pretty fucking obvious because we're this far into the time slot and no other characters have been introduced.
Right.
So, and the plot that we thought we were going towards completely ends.
Well, and now let's be fair here, because like 7, they don't introduce any new characters.
But that works because it doesn't need to introduce any characters.
Well, right, because that one character who actually did it
was a nobody.
He was a nobody, and you wrote him off on your own as the audience.
Yeah.
They did a very, very, very thorough job of trying to write off the bad guy in this movie, but not forcing you to do it as the audience. You know what I mean? Like,
kinda.
Well, they tried to make him just very vanilla.
Yeah.
Like, to be the most...
But if you've seen any cop thriller...
Sure.
Here's the thing. If you've seen any cop thriller, you can guarantee you'll fucking catch this
a mile
away.
Without a doubt.
7 subverts that entire concept by not introducing the character until they're revealed.
Well, I mean, he was in the movie before that. And
In
he spoke.
7?
Yes, Kevin Spacey.
He talks,
Yeah.
yes, but it doesn't matter.
But no, that's what I mean. Like, you just wrote him off as, even though it's Kevin fucking Spacey.
Some people don't realize that at that time.
You still wrote him
and
off.
he's not introduced until he's not really introduced until he's revealed.
No, you're right.
And that's why 7
But he was
works.
there the whole time.
Yes, but that's why 7 works.
Right.
This is
He was hiding in plain sight.
This is, well, of course it had to be this character.
Right.
It
was either this character or we're going to get something out of left field that you couldn't have called regardless.
like a secret window.
Sure.
That'd be what we expect otherwise.
Right.
And again, it doesn't feel like it builds up kinda, and then the reveal is just lukewarm.
Right.
It doesn't feel like Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, where the tension is through the roof after a certain point.
Well, and that's the thing with like Let Me In or Let the Right One In. You had that tension. You had that same thing with Tinker Tailor Soldier Spy. You had the tension. Like, the guy knows how to build it. And so it's frustrating when you're like, okay, so what happened? What changed?
And that's the thing, is that so many times it feels like they're building tension, and then rather than stop, like Dunkirk's a good example of building tension and keeping you on the edge of your seat the whole time until
that
the
ebb and
the
flow.
end.
The ebb and flow, right, is what you want.
This is like, we build tension and we forget and we go to the next scene.
Well, that's what I mean, dude. It's like things just happened.
You're just missing pieces.
Right. And that's exactly how it feels. Like, as you're watching the movie, it feels like there was probably, I would say, half a dozen, maybe even a dozen scenes where you're like, there should have been an extra part. What? Or they show a conversation and then they cut to them walking away from each other, but you're like, there was another thing there. There had to be another thing there.
The editing did feel off.
Right. And did you not shoot enough coverage? Like, what the fuck is going on there? And so it felt very disjointed, I think is a great word for it. I think the movie felt disjointed. It felt like there were parts that were just fucking missing.
Yeah.
And important parts for just like one scene to make sense. I think that's a huge part of it too, is like there's scenes that are good until the end of the scene. You know, where you're sitting there, you're engrossed, you're in the movie.
All right, we're gonna get somewhere now,
all right,
and
it's building, and then all of a sudden, it's like boom, everything's gone, everything they've built to has just withered away and died a horrible death, and then they're on to the next scene about one of the other 3 storylines that are going on.
Yeah,
and it's super frustrating in watching it, in that you can see where it could have been a good movie. You can see where, a couple cuts here, a couple add-ins here, maybe one more line of dialogue, here, there, or there. And you might have had, a movie that makes sense. And I think the biggest problem with this movie is that it just doesn't fucking make sense.
Yeah. And that's the plot is just scatterbrained. Things are not really relevant. You think it's going one place only for it to left turn, not because it was a plot twist, but because it's like, just, no, it wasn't that. It was this. Okay.
Yeah, no, and it's it's one thing to suspend disbelief when you're watching a movie. It's another thing to be like, why are they even doing this?
Yeah.
Why? How does this make any sense? Where's his coat?
And that's the thing, is that some of it can be explained because apparently there were parts of the script that just weren't even filmed.
Right, I know, that's what you were saying.
According to recent articles, as early as the day we're recording this, before the movie's even come out, the director himself says that 15% of the script wasn't even filmed.
Well, now, and hold on. If you look at it, it's a 2-hour-long movie, right?
Mm-hmm.
So it's 120 minutes, which means approximately 120 pages, right?
Right, yes.
Add 15% to that, and that's another what, almost 20 pages?
Almost.
Because 12 pages is 10%.
Yeah.
15% is 18 pages. So you've got like 18 pages, which is like 20 minutes a movie.
Yeah.
Just not even shot.
And some of that was because Scorsese apparently left production partway through, even though he stayed on as a executive producer. Was it Alfredson?
Oh, this was shot in Norway, not Sweden.
Yeah.
Sorry.
Yeah.
What were you saying?
How do you say his last name, the director?
I would say Alfredson.
Alfredson.
Sure.
Came in at the end and things were basically rushed. He said that it happened very abruptly. Suddenly we got noticed that we had the money and could start the shoot in London. Our shoot time in Norway was way too short. We didn't get the whole story with us. And when we started cutting, we discovered that a lot was missing. It's like when you're making a big jigsaw puzzle and a few pieces are missing, so you don't see the whole picture. And that's a great way to explain how it felt watching this. That we're missing the entire picture. Not just because this is a weird choice to adapt the 7th book in a series, but because during the editing, during the storytelling, during the dialogue, I'm just constantly sitting here like, what is your relationship to these people? Why are you doing this? Who's this guy who's covering for you from work for an entire week? Why is he such a good dude? Why are you so good at this job? Apparently you get all these medals which were told, not shown. Terrible exposition right there. Only for us then to never believe that based on a single thing you do, because I know so many award-winning cops who sleep on the street in the middle of the frozen winter in fucking Norway.
Well, hold on, no, he wasn't on the street, dude. He was sleeping in a children's playhouse
the
in a
second
park.
time he passed out
Oh,
on
when
the
he passed
street.
out in the street, yeah.
It's Norway. Yeah. It's fucking cold. What? And so much of it just feels like I'm missing context. What's going on? I don't think either of us, well, okay, people who listen will argue, but I don't think either of us are that stupid.
Well, I mean,
Again,
I don't know, man. I'm kind of a fucking idiot, but not when it comes to shit like this.
People will argue that point.
Sure.
But we could follow a story in a movie. We've
you would
done
hope
it for
so.
years.
Right.
And I was still like, why do I care about this?
Yeah, no, it doesn't make sense.
Out of 2 hours, there was maybe 30 minutes of thriller, intense crime.
Sure. Well, and I will say this.
And then an hour and a half of unrelated.
I will say this, though. The scenes of death were actually pretty fucking cool.
Yeah.
Like the blood splatter and the special effects that they used. I was mildly impressed. Actually, I was kind of pretty impressed with a lot of that stuff because they went pretty graphic.
They definitely went graphic, and some of the visuals are good, and the cinematography is very good.
Sure.
There's great sweeping landscapes. We get a great view of Norway. There's very keen eye paying attention to details where to direct your attention.
Right. Very much. No, absolutely. Like, and I when they have the big shots, the wide camera, the wide angles.
Yeah.
Yeah. When they have all of that stuff, those shots are fucking fantastic.
They're beautiful.
Some of the other shots, so even the shot with Kilmer where he shoots the gun in the air.
Yeah.
Gorgeous shot.
Yeah.
Absolutely gorgeous. So from a a filmmaking standpoint, I think some of the framing of the shots and the color usage was awesome.
Yeah, it definitely was.
It was flat out awesome.
And it did remind me of some of the, like, Girl with the Dragon Tattoo, and it definitely does a good job establishing the tone, how cold it feels.
Oh, yeah, no, absolutely.
But like Trudging Through the Snow, the movie fucking drags.
Well, no, and you're absolutely right. And the reason that it drags is because it's jumping all over the place, and so you can't really sink your teeth into any one part of the story. You can't really connect with any of the story, and so instead, while fast-paced, I guess is one way to put it, when you're jumping between three different stories,
but it doesn't feel like
it feels
that.
like a slog because you're having to constantly remind yourself of what happened 4 scenes ago.
Yeah. And there's really big missed opportunities for the creep factor to be upped dramatically.
Oh, absolutely. They had a couple moments, like with the woman at the beginning with the snowballs.
Yeah.
That was great.
And the first person we see get killed on screen. Yeah. That one.
Yeah.
That is an intense, like, oh crap.
No, you think the movie's finally starting.
And then again,
and then
you
it
think
doesn't.
It's going to build up this tension, and then just we're done here.
No, and that's exactly right. Like you have these moments of like the first death, the first disappearance, where shit could be really creepy and really amp up. And I think sometimes horror movies go the wrong route there, and they amp it up to a point of just ridiculousness.
Yeah, but that's where the crime thriller especially, has the advantage, because you can give terrifying moments like home invasion, like abduction, like being watched and realizing it.
Right.
That horror movies usually go for the monster burst through the wall.
Right, the jump scares. And there were some jump scares in this one, actually, Thomas. I believe you jumped.
I did jump at one point.
You did, pussy. And
but the detective thriller has the advantage to get in your head, whereas the horror movie is just in your face.
Well, the horror movie is more preying on your primal fear.
Yes.
Whereas the detective is your cerebral
intellectual
fear. Yeah, your intellectual, like you're knowing that shit's wrong.
For example, one of my favorite scene from Zodiac, spoiler, is when Gyllenhaal goes down into the basement, and there's footsteps upstairs.
Right.
And he's like, "Do you live alone?" And the guy's like, somebody upstairs is like, "No, I live here alone." And this guy's a suspect at this time.
Right.
So we're like, you are going to get fucking murdered in this house,
like,
dude.
You know it's coming.
Leave.
Right.
You know, this the shot in which he's
go ahead, sorry.
The shot where he's like, I have all the information down here in the basement, and he clicks the light, and then Gyllenhaal's face is just terror, and he doesn't see it, but we do as the audience. He's
right.
Like, there's not a lot of basements in San Francisco. He's like, I have one. You're like, oh, dude, you're about to die. If you go down there, you know.
You're not coming back.
And in this, there's like one time they do that.
There was 2 or 3 times where they could have done it.
But they only really do it once.
But they do it one time, right at the end, right? Are you talking about the...
No.
No, not that one?
No, I'm talking about the very first letter he gets.
Okay.
And the first death we see.
Sure.
But it's not like, oh, shit, you figured it out in your head, and then go back. It's they show it. And so it kind of loses something.
Sure. Well, and I think that there were a couple other times where you could have had some really cool kind of like, who is it? Maybe it's not. It could be, but I don't know. And and I feel like part of the problem is you didn't have enough characters.
Yeah.
For a detective whodunit.
Yeah.
You know, and what was your comment about the butler?
That's the thing, is that the way I described it to Brian afterwards, because the main plot and where the characters are going for so long and who it ends up being are so disjointed that it's as if someone, but yet so obvious. It's as if the butler did it, but it was the butler at the house across the street.
Right.
Okay, technically you were right, but why the fuck is this guy involved?
Right. Well, and that's
contrived reasons.
Right. Well, and that's the whole thing, is that like as you're watching it, and I don't know if I'm sure that there was probably more of a connection between all of the characters if you read the book. I would hope so. But as you're watching the movie, like, you can't see how any of these stories really fit together. And even when you get to the end of the movie, you're like, I still don't understand how these stories are connected.
Yeah. It just, what did I watch?
Right. And it wasn't.
I'm confused.
And let's be clear here. It wasn't just us that had this thought. You know, because of course we go and we go to the press screenings. So we watch it with not only press, but also other moviegoers. Like just random Joe Schmo off the street. And the general consensus to me when the movie ended was confusion.
Yes, absolutely it was.
I think that I don't think anybody came out of there going, oh yeah, man, I'm going to tell all my friends to go see that.
No, I think you're going to be asking yourself, what?
Right. And
what just happened?
Now, we don't normally look at other people's reviews.
Right.
But I kind of feel like this one deserves it. You know what I mean? Like, and so we're just, there's 10 reviews that have come out. Right?
Yeah.
One person has it rated above a 42.
Ooh.
On a 100-point scale.
Seems like it could.
And they gave it a 60. So it's not even like, you know, they literally called it serviceable.
Yeah.
Like that's their word, was serviceable. And then it goes wrong quickly, permanently, and in a spiral.
So we're not alone.
No. Well, and here's the thing, like you can see, and this is, you know, Thomas, you and I have talked about this over and over again on these movies that we don't like. When you go all the way back to the Play It or Slay It days. And, you know, we talk about these movies where you're like, you can see where it could have been good. You can see where if they would have tweaked 10, 15 minutes, you could have turned it into something really good. And I don't mean adding the 15% of the script that you didn't even bother fucking filming.
Right.
I mean just, you know, cutting it a little bit differently here, adding 2 lines of dialogue there, where over the course of a 120-minute movie, you change 10 minutes. You don't add 10 minutes.
Right.
You change 10 minutes. Or you cut 15 minutes of brooding stares.
Or you explain a goddamn thing. But here's the thing. We've gone on record saying stuff like that time and time again.
Sure.
And usually there's some place where we can pinpoint something like, had you changed that?
Right. No, you're right. You're right.
Honestly, looking at this, I'm like, it needs a rewrite. This doesn't work. It doesn't work as a screenplay. It doesn't work as a thriller. It doesn't work as an adaptation. It barely works as a fucking story.
Sure, but so here's a question for you then. You know how Scorsese movies are always 3 hours long?
Yeah.
Is that what went wrong here?
I do not think so.
They cut it to under a 3-hour movie.
I don't think so, because the fact of the matter is things like dramatic tension, character motivations, established relationships could not have been solved in just adding 20 minutes.
Well, it would have added an hour to make it a 3-hour movie.
Well, yeah. I honestly think that you needed to restructure this entirely, or give me a completely different beginning point, or make the Snowman murders far more interesting in the beginning. We know of a lot of disappearances, but we only see 2 murders?
You're right. No, you're absolutely right. We do only see...
How is that a thriller?
3 murders. 5 murders. We see 5 murders. 5.
We see people die from previous years who are somehow related, but the actual, like, killings that bring you another piece of the puzzle? 2.
Oh.
2.
Yeah, no, you're right.
One of them, 2 of them you're thinking about are a flashback. So early on, we don't even know what the fuck we're talking about.
Okay.
One of them is, like, the twist.
Yeah.
Which fuck you,
right,
first of all.
Right.
Because that whole thing... All right, we're going to get into spoiler territory, because
sure.
I think people have established...
I think at this point, guys,
yeah.
You all know, Thomas and I fucking hated this movie.
Don't see this.
There is no reason to see it. Like, honestly, this isn't even... Like, normally we'll say, wait till it comes out on... No, avoid this fucking movie like the plague if you value your sanity. Okay? Like, this is one of those movies where after you watch it, you're going to be like, what the shit did I just see? Why the fuck did I watch it? And can I get that 2 hours of my life back? This is one of those movies. It's like Feast 3. At the very end of that movie, a giant robot foot comes out of the fucking air and crushes everything, and you have no idea why. You don't know where it came from. There was no Feast 4. It never gets explained. This entire 2-hour movie is the last 15 seconds of Feast 3. The difference being Feast 3 was like, what the fuck is that? And this is, what the fuck is this? Huge difference.
Yeah.
Anyway, so let's get into a little bit of spoiler territory, please.
Now, the twist, essentially, is that his partner, the girl, is related to Val Kilmer.
Well, you're forgetting the first twist, though. She's actually been kicked off of the police force.
Well, yeah,
and wasn't actually transferred.
The background check, you can just let any random person wander in, take someone's office over, steal files through another person's name. Yeah, that's just how we do things here in Norway. That's police
hold on.
work.
They're in fucking Oslo.
Yeah.
Isn't that the capital of Norway?
I think so.
Like, it's an actual pretty important fucking city. You would imagine that their police force would look more like, I don't know, Chicago or New York, as opposed to fucking Andy Griffith show.
Yeah. So apparently it's real fucking easy to impersonate an officer.
Right. You just show up with a gun.
Second of all, she's related to Val Kilmer's, because that's who her dad was, who was killed by the Snowman guy.
But she didn't know it was the Snowman guy that killed her dad. She thought it was J.K. Simmons because Val Kilmer had gotten close enough to figure out that J.K. Simmons was fucking some other woman who was another dude's wife, even though her father was a disgraced, kicked off the force cop at the time, alcoholic, like severe.
But what that shows us is that she was convinced it was J.K. Simmons. We're thinking it's J.K. Simmons. He was killed because he was getting close to J.K. Simmons. No, he was only killed because he happened to be the cop that was assigned to the thing.
No, exactly.
And Simmons and Val Kilmer's character wasn't even that close.
No. Not at all. Like, unless there's a whole bunch of stuff that we don't know,
which may have been cut from the 15 minutes, but it doesn't make any goddamn sense.
Right.
And then, spoiler, she gets axed by the murderer. But there's not enough character development between her and Fassbender for me to give a flying fuck.
Well, there was no character development for her at all.
She's just, by the time we find out who she is, she immediately dies.
Well, not just that, dude, but like her entire purpose was just to have these files for Harry Holy to get a hold of. That was her entire purpose, was to be there so that there were rando files that he would never look at.
So had somebody done it as they did in Indiana Jones, your mail's on your desk?
Right.
That's what she contributed to this.
Exactly. Only difference was they tried to force like a weird, like not a love affair, but like this understanding between the two of them. Except for that super creepy rapey moment.
But none of it makes any impact because they have no relationship together whatsoever.
Well, there's no chemistry there at all.
No. And the only reason that the bad guy even gets caught is because he involves himself in their investigation.
Well, not just that. He doesn't only involve himself in their investigation. He literally goes looking for Harry.
Yeah,
like
deliberately.
Why? Like deliberately, this dude who kills because of some traumatic childhood shit. It's not like he's doing it because he thinks he's smarter than everyone.
And the explanation is, oh, I saw you in the paper.
You must have a happy family?
Nice family.
Like, fuck off, man. That's insane.
That's your fucking motivation?
Like, you didn't know anyone else ever. Like, you moved to an entirely different fucking town?
Bang this dude's girlfriend.
Ex-girlfriend.
For how long?
Right? Like, how long were they together? Because they were living together, right?
No, I don't
No, they weren't
he
living
has an
together.
apartment.
Okay, but she was totally banging him, but she was going to cheat on him with Fassbender, but then she was going to break up with him, and then he hung up the phone, and there was this whole thing about the kid missing, but like nobody was worried about the kid missing, and like they just wanted to get their fucking bone on. What the fuck, man?
You're getting red. Calm down.
Ugh.
But remember, she's known him long enough to want to move away with him.
Right, to his house up in Tottenham.
But not long enough to move in together in the city.
Right.
So what kind of relation? This is under a year?
I don't know, man.
How long have you been planning this? And again, you only got caught because you involved yourself when they were on the... It was like he, as the murderer, was like, you know what? They're never going to solve this on their own. They're after J.K. Simmons. He's not even related to this. I better intervene so they can find and catch me so I can have my moment of exposition.
Well, and that's exactly right. Like, he was literally done. Like, he could have just walked away. He could have gone on.
No one would have known anything.
He could have killed over and over and over again in another fucking city. Like, he literally was living the serial killer's wet fucking dream. But
and he's like, you know what?
Instead, he's like, hold on. How can I fuck myself here? Okay.
Oh, is that a bear trap? Yeah, I'll stick my dick in that.
But that's exactly it, dude. He's like, he all he had to do was walk away. He had pinned the murder on somebody else.
Nobody was asking any more questions.
No. And J.K. Simmons is about to go down for no reason other than he's there.
It just, there's so many questions. And again, maybe if we read the book, it would make sense. But they adapted directly too much stuff that required knowledge of the previous books.
It's like the first fucking, like, Hunger Games.
And they didn't explain jack shit.
Dude, the first Hunger Games is like that. It doesn't make any sense unless you read the books.
And it doesn't explain jack shit about what's actually happening right fucking now.
Right. Well, and they don't even go any backstory about Harry. No backstory about the girlfriend. No backstory about the kid. Like,
no backstory as to why he's been out of work for a week.
Right. He's like, my uncle died.
And he's like, oh yeah, keep up that lie. Okay, so going with that, let's assume, because the only thing we can assume is that was due to him being so sad about the breakup with his ex and her son.
So that means they've been together for less than 2 weeks.
So then, yeah, she's been fucking this dude for less than 2 weeks. Is that what we're supposed to believe? That she's going to move across the country for this dude? Or was it something that happened at the end of book 6 that they decided to adapt that part but not tell us it? And it's not relevant to the current plot.
Well, and that's my whole point, man, is like so much of this book is like, or this movie is like, okay, so what was in the book? What wasn't in the book? I don't fucking know. I've never read the books. Who's that person? Why are you? Yeah. Why do you have that weird idiosyncrasy that is literally putting your life in danger? Who are you? Why are you crying? You knew her for less than 4 days. Why are you all in this cold ass room? Why is Michael Fassbender riding around on a fucking book trolley?
Does anybody else smell eggs, or is that just me at this point?
Right? Like, what is going on right now? Why? And what was that weird sex thing that was going on in like the cultish behavior in his apartment with the girlfriend? Oh, and what happened to the guy that was getting rid of all of the fucking mold? Because he yelled at fucking the killer, and then they just cut away, and we never see this dude's body. And did the killer kill his dog?
But also, the mold guy, who he's yelling to, the bad guy dresses up as the mold guy dude in Fassbender's apartment just to creepily be there.
No. He left those pills. Because remember, Fassbender threw the pills out the window.
Right. For what reason?
Because he knew that the girlfriend would get angry if she saw his name on a bottle of pills.
But that doesn't mean anything.
You're right.
And also, so he dressed up as the mold guy to sneak into his apartment to be creepy. There was no moment. That was another time where there would have been a great moment of realization that, holy shit, the killer was just in my house. And I kicked him out, not even knowing who the fuck that was.
Like if he would have left like a snowman note.
And he ran back into the street, and there's just a snowman. He's like, fuck, I missed him by that much.
Right, that would have been fantastic.
That would have been terrifying, because now your house is not safe. But instead, the guy just walks out the street, and the dude who really is doing the mold, not walking back to Fassbender's apartment because he was on lunch, or walking back because he's going to do work.
No, just standing on the fucking street corner with his dog.
He's just hanging out in the fucking street.
Hold on.
Does he live there?
Wait, he's just hanging out in the street with his dog. Now, mind you, He's not got the dog on a leash. The dog's not taking a shit. He is holding the dog close for warmth.
So, again, were you just hanging out on the street and waiting?
Next to where you work? That's weird, man.
That's like after hours on a Saturday, I'm just hanging out at the corporate office. Like, sup? Dude, what are you doing here? Oh, I just hang out here. It's my dog. That's insane.
Yeah, you're the guy that names your dog Barky. Like, I mean, Jesus Christ. Anyways, guys, so
it's dumb.
Is there anything else we want to say about this movie, T?
It's really dumb.
I mean, no, it was beyond dumb, dude. Like,
it looked great, had potential. It's 20 minutes of a good movie lost in an hour and 40 minutes of what the fuckery.
Well, and it's literally, like I said, it's
honestly, read the book, maybe.
Maybe. I don't know. I can't even
we here at Critique Revolve are advocating reading. Instead of watching a movie.
Do you know how your movie's gone off the rails? Critique Revolve tells you to read a book.
Yeah. Good Lord.
All right, guys. That's going to do it for us here on the Rain Man Digital Network. This is Brian Smith and Thomas Cowley signing off for the evening from Critique Revolve. Have a good night.
The Corova milk bar sold Milk Plus Velocet, or Centenesque, or Drencrum, which is what we were drinking. This would sharpen you up and make you ready for a bit of the old ultra-violence.